Ah, the beautiful vista of an airport panorama, my dear viewer. And very soon I will be on a Westjet plane. Perhaps this very Westjet plane as I depart to Vancouver, out in the West, where my little brother is getting married. God bless him. And God bless all who do good, be they atheists or non-believers or what have. Well, not non-believers, obviously by definition they're not believers, but I just want to reiterate my current theme of the day, which is that anyone can be a believer, regardless of your stated belief. If you're a so-called Muslim, but you go around killing people and slaughtering children and all this kind of garbage, you're a putrid piece of fucking shit, and you're gonna be tortured with the worst possible punishment of divine retribution in the lowest and most putrid and pungent and godforsaken depths of hell, right? If on the other hand you say you're an atheist, but you're a good person and you're kind and you're not evil and you're not rude and you're not gnarly, you're not passive aggressive unless you need to be. So you can be, rest assured, regardless of whether or not you think you believe, you actually are a believer, because belief is essentially an embodiment of your actions. Okay? So if I say I'm not scared of girls, and that every time I come face to face with some hot mamacita, I'm like blah blah, doesn't matter. I can pretend to be the Mac Daddy all day long, and when the rubber meets the road, the guy who doesn't say shit but manages to charm his way into people's pants, he's the man of the day. Okay, here's another one. It's a very interesting one. I think one of our scholars brought this example out. It's a very interesting example. Most people understand that it's very interesting because it takes this thing a step further. So first of all, what you say versus what you do can be different, but what you think versus what you do can be different. Everyone thinks and knows that a dead body cannot cause you any harm, correct? How many people would like to spend the night in a graveyard? Not me, seriously. I mean, there's obviously the aspect, for me at least, of souls and genies and all this kind of stuff, for sure. And by the way, I would love to spend the night in a graveyard. How many people would like to spend a night in a room alone with a dead body? There's a word in Urdu and Arabic, karahat. Karahat means that it seems just repugnant, right? Just like those filthy swine, ISIS, pigs, those cursed, wretched, God-forsaken devils. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that وَمَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا فَعَلُوا. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had not wanted or allowed them to do what they're doing, they wouldn't have done it. فَذَرُوهُمْ. So just leave them be. Of course it's terrible they're killing innocent people, and of course we're going to go out there and slaughter their fucking asses one day. But my whole point is this. What's going on, mate? You want to be on YouTube? The more you stare, the more prone you're going to be our next YouTube celebrity. So I would just pick up my goddamn luggage and get a move on, Charlie. Now you may say that that was completely racist and uncalled for. You'd obviously be right. And in this case, you would be the good person and I would be the bad person, my dear viewer. So there's so much to talk about. I started putting these videos out and I started calling them, I don't know why I'm laughing. It's just funny to me. The whole thing is so stupid. Prove God's existence. Okay, how about this thing over here? Let's prove something about this thing. Can you prove it's even here? Can you prove this thing is here? You'll say, well, when you're knocking it, it's making a noise. When you touch it, you can feel something. When you look at it, you see something. You know what? You're out to lunch. All of those things that you're talking about, the 6 senses or the 5 senses or whatever, however many senses, your spidey sense, it's all in your brain. Your brain is the only thing that's functioning right now. Don't you understand? what you see is essentially an image that's been reorganized in your brain. It's a chemical reaction. It's neutrons, it's electrons, it's neurons, it's impulses. It's electricity and chemicals. That's all it is. If you're knocking on this and it appears to be solid glass, based on modern science, a modern scientist couldn't convince me if I didn't want to be convinced. If I really wanted to be a hard ass about it, he'd have to agree with me. Yes, Hussein, you're right. Ultimately, the Matrix could be true. Or yes, Hussein, you're right. Ultimately, we're a brain in a jar. We're a brain in a jar. I'll try and explain it to you once again. And perhaps I'll leave it at that. I won't go too far. I'm hoping you're getting some nice plain views. It's really a very plain view of things, my dear viewer. You take the brain. Okay, so it's basically, this whole line of thinking is inspired by a Weird Al Yankovic song. And the line in the song is, it's about a newspaper tabloid called Midnight Star. Oh, Midnight Star, you can read all about it in the weekly Midnight Star. And then he has things like, the aliens have landed and will tell you where they are, Midnight Star. And then the other line I was referring to is, they're keeping Hitler's brain alive inside a jar, Midnight Star. Okay, let's use that as a starting point. Hitler's brain is being kept, and by the way, I'm not anti-Semitic, and Hitler's a fucking asshole, just in case you guys start saying that I'm now pro-Nazi or something. I fucking hate Hitler, just a little bit less than I hate ISIS. First thing that ISIS did is kill Islam. That's what they did. I would love to go at some of those guys. I would love to go at them. Seriously, you have no idea how I'd love to go at them. I would fucking murder those fucking fuckers. I would murder them with my hands. You put me up against one of those guys with a sword and I just got my fucking hands. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. I wear steel-toe boots sometimes. And I know Taekwondo. And if you want me to prove it to you, I'll prove it to you, my dear viewer. Now this is going to show you what a nutter I am. Or how excellent my skills are. Right? Now, everyone can kick, but it's about how you land it, right? So, you know, most people could do something like that, but can you pull it back and can you, you know, maintain your posture? So I hope I proved to you that I could kick ISIS's ass, and I fucking hate him. And this guy is probably wondering what's going on. Oh no, he's not. He's an innocent bystander in the tragedy of life. Well, my dear friend, you have a bit of celebrity status coming your way because you're going to be on YouTube, my good man. Alright, so Hitler's brain is being kept inside a jar. Let's take out the Hitler from the equation. Let's say a brain is inside of a jar. Understand, the brain doesn't know, in this case, that it doesn't have an eyes or legs or a hand. The brain doesn't know that there's no body. You see, the brain, let's say, it's like a phantom body. You can have a phantom limb. There's a great Alice in Chains song called Phantom Limb. Let's say you cut off your arm. From time to time, you'll still think you have an arm. You'll be able to feel it. It'll actually hurt. It's called a phantom limb. If you can have a phantom limb, you can have phantom rest of yourself. If a brain is inside of a jar, the brain may still believe it's attached to a body. And it may be seeing things. And it may be hearing things. Why? Because at the end of the day, sound exists inside the brain. Sound doesn't exist in objective reality. It may or may not exist in objective reality. The fact that two people agree that it does exist, that's the only way of saying that there's something out there. However, it's not that simple because the other person may or may not be real. That person may be a figment of your imagination and he's talking to you about sound and you're agreeing on it. You may or may not understand where I'm coming from, dear viewer, but the whole point is this. This thing here may or may not exist. When I see it with my eyes, I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at it at all. It's just something that's being assembled in my brain. Even the depth of vision and all this kind of stuff, distance of 0.5 meter, all this kind of stuff, the gray, the sunlight, the shadow, everything is just being assembled. It's an image that's being assembled in my brain. It's electricity and chemicals once again. Some of these atheists, or some of my atheist friends I should say, They argue with me on Twitter, and then they'll start saying things like, they'll start going for the low shots when they realize how dense I am. They'll say, well, you don't know much about science. Oh God, dear viewer. So there you have it. If you understood anything from that, what you should understand is that Westjet is the fucking ace of airlines. In terms of international travel, you want to go with Emirates. And in terms of domestic travel in Canada and some privileged locales, you know what? WestJet is the shit. I'm so sold on WestJet right now that I'm just going to leave the plane in the frame, and I'm going to sing the line from the Alice in Chains song Phantom Limb. It's the only line I know. He says, I'm gonna haunt you like a phantom limb. Oh my God, I don't know how the tune goes. Alright, people are starting to laugh. I'm gonna go. See you later, viewer.